I was just about to fall into a deep sleep when I heard the soft knock on my bedroom door. It was past midnight, and the house was quiet, cloaked in that hushed, eerie stillness that only comes when the world has gone to sleep. I turned over, blinking against the dim glow of the hallway light slipping through the crack in the door. Then came the voice. "Mom!" It was my son, Jason. I sat up slowly, rubbing my eyes. Something in his voice made my heart jolt awake even faster than the caffeine I usually needed in the morning. He sounded anxious, on the verge of something. 14 years old and already dealing with more than a kid his age should have to. I glanced at the clock. 12:17 a.m. "Come in, sweetheart," I said, voice still thick with sleep. Jason stepped inside, his face partially hidden beneath the hood of his sweatshirt. His eyes were wide, and he was clutching something in his hand, a crumpled piece of paper. "Can I talk to you?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Of course," I said, patting the bed beside me. He sat down, not quite looking at me yet. I reached out and gently touched his arm. He flinched just slightly. That wasn't like him. Jason was affectionate, always had been, even after his dad and I split up 2 years ago. The divorce had changed a lot. He had to grow up fast in ways I wished he hadn't. He finally handed me the piece of paper. I unfolded it carefully, heart thumping harder now. It was a note, scrawled in his messy handwriting. The words sent a chill up my spine. "I'm sorry, Mom. I just can't take it anymore." My breath caught in my throat. I looked up at him, and his eyes finally met mine. They were glassy, red-rimmed. He'd been crying. "I found it in your backpack," I said softly. He nodded. "I wrote it 2 nights ago," he admitted. "I wasn't gonna do anything. I was feeling like everything was too much." I wrapped my arms around him instantly, pulling him close. He was shaking, and so was I. "You're not alone, Jason," I whispered. "I'm right here. Always." For a long moment, we didn't speak. I just held him. Then he pulled back a little. "Can we go somewhere?" he asked. "Not forever. Just, for tonight?" I looked at him, surprised. "Where do you want to go?" "Somewhere quiet. Somewhere far from here." It wasn't a plan. He wasn't running away. I could tell he didn't even know what he wanted. He just needed space. Safety. A way to breathe. And though every instinct told me to keep him home, lock the doors, call someone, I looked into his face and saw the kind of vulnerability that made me realize this was a moment that would define everything going forward. So I said yes. I got out of bed, pulled on a pair of jeans and a hoodie, grabbed my keys, and we snuck out of the house like we were kids breaking the rules. Except this wasn't rebellion. It was survival. We drove in silence at first, the hum of the road filling the spaces between us. I didn't ask questions. I didn't push. I just let him be, let him exist in the moment. Sometimes, when someone's hurting, that's the best thing you can do. After about 45 minutes, I pulled into a roadside diner that was open 24 hours. The neon lights buzzed above the glass windows, and the parking lot was nearly empty. Jason looked at me with a half smile. "Midnight pancakes," I said. He nodded. Inside, the diner smelled like syrup and old coffee. A waitress in her 50s with a kind smile brought us a menu. Jason didn't even look at it. "Chocolate chip pancakes and a chocolate milk," he said. "Make that 2, I added. We sat there, eating slowly, not saying much. But something about it felt safe. Real. Like we'd carved out a small moment of peace in the chaos. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked eventually, careful to keep my voice gentle. He looked down at his plate. "I didn't want to worry you. You're already dealing with work, and bills, and the divorce. I didn't want to be one more problem." "You're never a problem," I said, reaching across the table. "You're my reason." His eyes welled up again, and this time he didn't try to hide it. I miss how things used to be. When Dad still lived with us. When you weren't always so tired. When school didn't make me feel like I was drowning." My heart cracked open. I had been tired. Stretched too thin. Working 2 jobs. Managing co-parenting with an ex who often bailed at the last minute. I hadn't realized just how invisible Jason had started to feel. We stayed at the diner for almost 2 hours. When we left, the sky was beginning to lighten at the edges, hints of dawn softening the darkness. Jason looked calmer. Not fixed, but steadier. "Where now?" I asked. He hesitated. "Can we go to the lake?" I smiled. That lake had been our summer escape when he was younger. Fishing, swimming, skipping rocks. It was over an hour away, but I didn't care. We drove in the early morning quiet, the world slowly waking around us. Birds chirped in the trees as the sun rose behind a veil of pale clouds. When we reached the lake, it was empty. The surface of the water was glassy and still. Jason walked to the edge and stood there for a long time. I watched from a few feet back, giving him space. Then he turned. "Do you ever feel like you're failing?" he asked. "All the time," I admitted. "But I keep trying. That's what matters." He nodded. Then he did something I hadn't seen in weeks. He smiled. We sat on a blanket by the water for the rest of the morning. He talked more than he had in months. About school. About girls. About how he felt like a ghost sometimes, even in a crowded room. I told him about my own teen years, the secrets I'd kept, the nights I'd cried alone in my room. We weren't so different, after all. Around noon, we finally headed home. I was exhausted, but lighter. Jason fell asleep in the passenger seat, his head resting against the window. I glanced over at him and felt tears prick my eyes. That night hadn't just been about running away. It had been about showing up. Listening. Saying yes when it mattered most. When we got home, I let him sleep in. Later that day, I called a therapist, a good one. We started sessions the next week. I also called my ex-husband and told him we needed to have a serious talk about Jason, about being present, about what it meant to be a father. We made changes. Small ones at first, family dinners, less screen time, more talking, real talking. Over time, Jason opened up more. He started to smile again. He joined the school's music club. Made new friends. He even wrote a short story that won second place in a statewide teen writing competition. I kept the note he gave me that night. Not as a reminder of pain, but of hope. Of how close we came to losing him and how choosing to say yes, to listen without judgment, made all the difference. Life didn't magically get easier. There were still hard days, rough weeks, silent dinners. But we faced them together. Sometimes, the people we love don't ask for help with words. They ask with their silence, with their late-night knocks, with the way they hold a crumpled note in their trembling hands. And in those moments, when they finally do reach out, we have to be ready to say yes. Because that one word can change everything.